So we talked a little bit about today, both with David Hertel and with Tom LeCaire, about the situation over at the Hippodrome. I think situation is a good way to describe this, too. It's been since 2009 since the Hippodrome kind of disappeared. The only thing that happened there since then, of course, is a U2 concert, right? And nothing else. It's kind of tough driving by there, too, because, you know, as Tom just said a few minutes ago, you look at it, it's a prime place to build, and we know the city's got a housing shortage. It's ideal. No sense. It doesn't. Nothing has happened. And to be perfectly fair, you can blame this administration because Valerie Plante's talked this up, but the same thing happened during the Kader administration. This goes all the way back to when Gérald Tremblay was mayor back in 2009, 2010, promising there'd be something there, and nothing has yet happened. So do we now get to be optimistic because we had a press conference there yesterday? Our minister, Pierre Fitzgibbon, provincially, Valerie Plante was there, and a major investment group. Financial investment group, Claridge, which is the Stephen Bronfman company, apparently interested in finally maybe getting something done here. Pierre Boivin from Claridge is on the line. Pierre, great talking to you. It's been a while.
Great to be with you.
Well, let's go through this. You had a press conference yesterday. It's exciting to see a private developer be there because up until now, governments on their own have apparently been able to do nothing. So you're obviously optimistic something could get done here. What is it that can get done?
Well, let me first correct a little bit of what you said, because I was there as a citizen, not as the CEO of Claridge, and all of the members of this committee are there on a voluntary basis and not representing their firm.
Oh.
We have a mix of people around the table, 15 participants, but this is really a movement by engaged citizens that want to get all three levels of government to work hand in hand to find the solutions to finally get something done on this vast, 46-acre piece of land. Very rare that in a city like Montreal you'll find a piece of land of that size that can go such a long way in answering our housing crisis.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I was completely mistaken then. I assumed by virtue of the fact that you were there, and I know there'll now be a group to look at planning for this, that Claridge would be interested in being involved in developing this. Is that not the case?
First of all, Claridge is not a developer. We are financial partners with many developers, but we do not ourselves develop or build any of the real estate investments in which we're involved with. We always do so with established developers.
So I will take it that your appearance there, even though you were there as a private citizen, is there interest from Claridge in getting involved with a private developer?
It's much too early to say. I mean, we don't know exactly what the plan is going to be. We will know within 6 to 8 months when we finish doing our work. I think there will be many developers, if we're successful, that will be interested in participating. But as I said in the press conference, this is something in which the private sector must become a contributor, not just people who do well by building either condo or apartment building projects. There's a need for the private sector to give back. There's also a very important obligation on the part of the three levels of government, because this is a very large project. There is no infrastructure underneath the racetrack grounds, and therefore there's a lot of investments required on infrastructure, and there will be a lot of investments involved, obviously, in the development over 6, 7, or 8 years to build this out.
Okay. So like Karen, I'm kind of struggling to understand. So you, Mr. Boivin, you are the co-president of this new committee. The new committee has the goal of trying to accelerate and get this project going. And yet it's not certain that you would want to invest. And who are the other people on the committee? Are they potential investors or developers?
Well, I mean, there's 15, so I'm not going to try to go through the list with you. But we have representatives from the development community. We have representatives from the financial community, and we have representatives from the community, from social organizations in the community, as well as the various governments.
So people with a vested interest.
A vested interest in seeing the right project emerge that will go a long way in answering our housing crisis. Again, no one is there with a mercantile interest. In fact, one of our obligations down the road will be to make sure that there is no real and no even perceived potential conflict of interest. As we get to the point where we have a plan, where we have a process, and where we will start to go to tender. Right?
You're making, if I'm reading you wrong here, you're making it sound as if at the end of 6 or 8 months, when you finally have this plan, even at that point, let's say something comes out of it and it's great and you want to get involved, Claridge would not get involved, or is there the opportunity for Claridge to get involved at that point?
There could be an opportunity for Claridge to become a financial partner with one or many developers on the site, as we were down in Griffintown, as we are on the South Shore, we are, in other areas.
So that possibility exists, right?
Yes, that possibility.
Okay.
But I would say that would be past the report being submitted, the governments having made their commitment. This committee will no longer exist once an organization has been put in place, a full-time organization, to manage the emerging of this project.
Whatever it ends up actually being. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask another question.
Oftentimes it's a non-for-profit when you're talking about a project of this magnitude in the area of social and affordable housing. So there's a very strong likelihood that the organization that will eventually survive this committee and be responsible for the management of this community development, because it's many, many, many buildings, right? And it's not just residential buildings. I mean, it's schools, it's parks, it's community centers, it's sports and recreation. It's everything that goes into building a real community, where a mixed community with a high quality of living.
So I want to ask a question that's been bothering us, and I'm sure other people as well. I kind of hearken back to 2009, saying other administrations have promised, a lot of things. There have been some grand plans and nothing has panned out. And I can't for the life of me understand why such a prime piece of real estate, and I understand the magnitude of developing this, but how no one has between then and now decided, you know what, we're prepared to invest some money. I'm sure the government would have coughed in or, basically put some money in this as well. Why do you think that has not happened up until now?
It's really hard to understand for that length of time. What I can tell you is that we have been apprised of all of the work that has been done in the last 3 years, I would say, 3-4 years, therefore, by the Toronto administration in preparing. This group could not move forward in an accelerated pace and commit to delivering a realizable plan by the end of this year if it wasn't for all the work that's been done. But the challenge is going to be financing such a project, because the level of investment just in infrastructure is something that you've rarely seen in Montreal, because everywhere else on the island, no matter where you build out, you take something down, you build something new. There's underground infrastructure, right? Water, electricity, everything that's required to power and to allow these buildings to operate. There is nothing underneath the racecourse track is earth and more earth. Now, the good news is it is not a polluted site. So often, if you think of the East End, for instance, there's all kinds of discussions, and there will eventually be developments in the East End. It's inevitable. You have to look for areas where you can build, right? Where there's raw land. But in the East End, there's a high degree of pollution. Right,
and that's quite expensive to clean up, right? So it makes
very expensive. Okay. So there are a lot of winning conditions with this site, but you've definitely got to deal with mobility and traffic. Our vision is to have a very eco-friendly community where the everything will be in place, hopefully, so that there'll be a minimal amount of car traffic. It's already a very congested area of the city, as we all know. We're not too far from the subway, and so we need to think through public transport and hopefully electric public transport, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the potential is huge.
Or just a bike path, possibly.
No, don't say that. Don't even say that. But the potential is absolutely huge. You've said that there's still a lot of questions, more questions than there are answers. My question is it still a big possibility that nothing will come of this, even with the creation of this committee?
Oh, I refuse to believe that.
Okay. And then what would the timeline be?
I mean, I don't think we could have mobilized all of these people that are all there with all the right intentions. And it's our responsibility, Jenny, Bick, and mine, to make sure that we work as a team, that there is collaboration, that there is open discussion, and we wanted the governments to be there from the get-go, literally from day one. That's why they were present at the press conference, and because we need. One of the biggest challenge is going to be financing such a project. When you talk about the number of social and affordable housing, it's well beyond the 2020 policy of the city, or we're not going to ever start to catch up, on the shortage in this crisis.
What do you mean it's well beyond the 2020?
Well, because of that rule is social, affordable, and regular, right?
Family, right?
And I think here we're going to have it's going to be a mixed community, but there's going to be a higher proportion. That's our goal.
I see.
Of social and affordable and family. So that we start to answer, the seriousness of this housing crisis.
Well, that's promising.
So in order to do that, you have to have a different financing model. And the current programs that exist at the federal level, the provincial level, and the municipal level would not allow such a vision of this magnitude. Right. And so that's why we wanted the government there, because at the end of the day, one of our challenges is to invent a new financial model for this to make sense, for the private sector to get involved, and for, at the end of the day, each residential unit be priced appropriately so that people who go into it can afford to stay with them. We're living in a higher interest rate environment, so we have to consider that. Construction costs have gone through the roof with COVID and the supply chain issues that have hit everywhere around the world, and Montreal is no exception. So there needs to be a lot of analysis in how to do it well, but do it in the most economical fashion, and it has to be rigor. And frankly, we have to think out of the box, and we have to look at models that have been built elsewhere. If we succeed, this will be something that's never been done in Montreal.
All right.
Well, that's
Listen,
cool.
we're out of time. I just want to ask you one thing. I'm kind of half kidding here. Anyone bring up Cavendish Boulevard, Pierre?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think of it. You can't be closed off on the west side.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to work.
Let's hope that's the case. Yeah. Pierre, I thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
All right.
Take good care.
Well.
Bye-bye. Pierre Boivin, he was with Claridge, part of that group that's going to plan what's going to happen here. That'll take 6 to 8 months. And then, question is, what's first, this being developed or flying cars?